I wanted to talk about the experiences I had with my mother when I well she has MS. She had MS, and her life was disrupted by that disease that I'm pretty sure is man-made, as all diseases and illnesses are. So, but I wish I can tell this in a really short story, and this is why it would be good to be able to hook the back of our brains up with technology, so that the ideal would be, and the only way that it would really work, if it was a self-organizing system, like a synthesized version, what AI is, and that's all that it is. It's just the most basic thing, but computerized, what a human being is able to do through conscious awareness, which is to divvy up. Okay, let's say you're somebody making apple pies. Well, you're not. If you're an idiot, you're going to continue to make a shitty apple pie. But if you're a human being, you're going to continue to. You're going to learn to make the apple pie. You're going to learn the academics of it. Then you're going to go into the meditative study of it. You're just going to start meditating on like. Pretty soon you're going to figure out how many precise bubbles are needed, like how to mix it. You're going to be doing all this other different. Only a human being can do this technology. It's called love, to where this apple pie, babes, nothing surpasses this particular one. Out of all the ones, of course, you can get the boxed up one and the one here and there and there and here, and with the same ingredients, but being a master, that apple pie right there, nobody forgets it. And that's what we're kind of dealing with. See, my age, if you know me, or you being nearing 50 here, born back in the 1900s, but maybe you had parents and grandparents who knew the good things in life, which would come along with, well, it's not money that really is giving us the pleasures that we also love to experience. I mean, we deserve to have that. It's done through hard work and skills, not money. It's done through just the curiosity and the interest and the focus and the skill to get that apple pie, baby. And it's really a natural thing. This is something like, when you say hard work, sorry I said that, because it's not hard work. If you're doing it wrong, if it starts to feel hard, stop. Stop as long as possible to try to figure out how to live this life. So, I don't know, I was trying to talk about my mom. See, who wants to talk about it? But I'm trying to get to this point where, okay, so, well, she never ever made anybody around her feel obligated to her, like, oh, I took care of you, you better take care, I have a disease, how dare you? No, she was the one who said, go race around the world. She knows we're going to come back and bring things to her and say, oh, look at me, mama. That's what she's enjoying as a human mother. The giving, when love is in the room, when freedom is happening, pure freedom of everything. You got legs, use them, run as fast as you can. Yay, did you mean you ran for the whole half of your life? Yes. Me? Nobody told me this I could slow down. You couldn't, for one, babe. I'm an Aries rising. Good luck trying to get me to wear clothes that you think I was going to wear. It's like, excuse me? Anyway, that helps. Or it doesn't help. But we're two totally completely different people, me and my mom. But I'm just trying to say that, okay, so this one time, I knew I had to get down there. She was, something happened. I was just had, um, it was in 2007 where, see, her disease was progressing, MS, to where, I mean, she was already bedridden. She was bedridden for 19 years. And her larynx was closing down. So she, at one point, she just could not swallow her food. And she just absolutely had to go to the hospital because she was like nearly dying because it was getting, there was a complication with her eating. And so she was rendered in the hospital. So a lot of changes had to go on, and I knew this. I had kind of had experience with some friend's mother who was going in the hospital, and then um, so I knew that the complete rehaul and the caretakers needed help, needed a rest, and that they needed a break. They in fact needed to be relieved of that burden that it would be to take care of somebody, diseased, and that's what needs to happen, babes. If we were more tribal and connected, there first of all, there wouldn't be any diseases. We would fucking support the truth more, and then the truth is what keeps us immune from diseases. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this experience that I had with my mom. She had to get this upgrade thing now. She went to the hospital. Now, what would happen is, and see, I remember I was the daughter next to, who basically had power of authority there. She was having trouble talking and everything, but we understood that they were going to put a tube in her belly because while she was there, they can't feed her and give her foods because it might go in her lungs and she might die. So they're going to give her a darn fucking stomach tube just to feed her, right, and get the liquids in. So I remember agreeing, and we all agree, yes, we allow that to happen with her. So she gets her feeding tube in, which only lasted 3 years. I think she had that in for 3 or 4 years at the most, I think. If I have the timing right, she died in 2010. But she was bedridden for 19 years before that. Anyway, so anyway, they're pretty miserable subject matter, right? But anyway, let's look at this moment. I'm going down there and really feeling this out, and I know I can feel the scene. I mean, everybody who has been holding her and caretaking her were just exhausted and probably not even qualified, really. I mean, who is any one person? Really, we need a tribe to raise children and to take care of the elderly and whatever. But and you'll find that there are more skilled people than others. There are. You know, and boy, anyway. But okay, God, just trying to talk about this experience that I had when I was. It was hot. I think it was in August, and there wasn't much very good heating in the caretaking area where she was. There was bed after bed and just curtains, and she got that tube in there, and it was hot. They didn't understand that she had MS, and she couldn't. People with MS, they deteriorate even more, and they all of their symptoms exacerbate when it's hot. So they have to have air conditioning. Well, she was having a hard time with that, right? Even though they were trying to air condition, and it was really hot when she had to get in that hospital that first time before she had to get this upgrade. And even her home had to be upgraded, which was like I kind of had to tell the people that were helping her, which was my brother and mainly her. She has this Ted is her love of her life, unbelievable story there. But anyway, her good friend, I mean, and lover and caretaker, basically just claimed love for her until his very end, and they died just a couple weeks apart. And that's common, very common, because they were two peas in a pod, and so they all needed a break, and they got that break. But I was like, okay, so but what needs to happen? I mean, if you want her to come back, of course, you're gonna have to redo everything here. Things need to be changed, including the bed, right? The bed and everything need to be upgraded. And so it happened. Eventually, she was in there for like a month and a half. I don't really know the time. They would know better at this point, but nothing you want to really remember. It's miserable shit. And we don't know why it needed to happen. I remember my mom was there and she was looking and just really disappointed about the whole picture. She said, "This fucking sucks." It's like, Yeah, she's hardly 60 years old and her life is being cut short. I can understand that. She's like, this is just. She was a Capricorn, so of course she's gonna fucking really. She was a Capricorn rising, Capricorn rising, Scorpio sun. Where was her moon? In Cancer? No, her moon was in Libra. But she had this Mars in Cancer oppose her ascendant. Sorry, I'm getting off the subject matter, but Mars conjunct Saturn. That's the aspect of like a marathoner or some kind of physical extreme that you can go through that like no other people can. You have it's really strong. It's like a lot of people cannot surpass the wisdom physically of that person. If she wasn't stricken with that disease, she would have probably been some kind of other somebody who exhibited a physical trait or something that nobody else can do, something athletic or dancing or something. It would have been really highly disciplined, but she was dealing with something else. So anyway, terrible story, right? But I wanted to get back to this moment when it was really hot in that darn hospital, and I was there, just there for hours on end. I would be there, and I would do what she did with me when I had a fever. I would go and get heat up. I mean, wet a rag and put it on her forehead, and I know it made a big difference with her. And I kept doing this. I think it was a few days that I was doing this, and I was there doing it this one time, and I was leaning over onto her, and she can't really speak. We had a fun time with that. I laugh about it because she was so sweet and very, very sharp in her mind. It's just that she lost her ability to speak, and she doesn't know sign language, but we can kind of almost telepathically find out what she needs. But anyway, so it's just I'm cooling her off, leaning down, uh, close to her, and she's all bummed out, right? I mean, it's hard to tell, she was kind of asleep a little bit, but no, she was laying there in a state of some kind of meditation or something. And so I was leaning down and I was doing this with her, and this energy came from her that was okay. This is really hard to explain. This energy that was so all I can do is all I can explain it as is okay. I almost went to if an alien came and they would affect you, but no, was it Jesus who did Jesus have this amazing energy, or was that achieved like all the time? Because she blew me back with this energy of, first of all, it's the same energy that I had of my compassion of of trying to keep her cool, and also the energy of her perhaps saying thank you for doing that. It was like 5 notches up above that or more, radiating this. I can't explain it, but you get it. It blew me back to the point where I was humbled down. I was humbled down. She, her body, she didn't flinch or anything like that. I think she did this on purpose, though. I really think that this is who she was and what she was all about. See, I didn't spend that much time with her while she was bedridden. I lived 100 miles away in the mountains, and she would come and visit me. And I would visit her. That's just my life. And she knew that I had my life. And she would always tell me, it's like, you have your life, Shauna, and I have mine. I was a kind of a selfish little girl. And she would try to tell me that. Um, I had Aquarius moon and she's a Scorpio sun. But anyway, she blew me back with this energy that was so positive. It was so positive that I was like, oh, okay, I don't know anything, but it wasn't. really intended for that. No, what I mean is, like, what I was saying is it was the same energy of the compassion and the love that we were sharing, just being there, appreciating, and I was being compassionate, and it was that plus, and I have to talk about this because it was like this wafting energy, that it was a vortex that blew out to outer space or something, and I looked at her. Okay, I remember she smiled a little bit. This is how I know that she knew what she did or what happened. Um, and see, I remember this yesterday. What happened? See, I was remembering that. See, that happened with her. Pardon me. Hard to talk about that without crying. Um, that experience, unquestionable. And I remember that smile that she had was so peaceful. The way that she kind of, it was more like she was saying, she was transferring, like, okay, you got that right, or something. And I could not, like, go there for a moment anymore, like, to give her the water and everything, because there was nothing that would compare to what just happened. I was just like, whew. And then that's one thing that happened, you see. And then she made it back home, and things settled down. She got into, she went back home with her feeding tube, and the next thing would happen would be 3 years. I mean, she would visit me a few times. I would go there, and we were doing this thing. I remember I went and visited her one time. It was the same day that Michael Jackson supposedly passed away. He just vanished, I guess, out of public eye. Yeah, and but anyway, but then things started going. Pluto went further into Capricorn, and anyway, changes started going on. I guess so. It's 2010, and that's when see, the next time, this is kind of a long video. I hope it keeps going here. Um, go to the hospital because she's now going to die. Her caretaker dies before her, and that's just it's just inevitable what's going to happen. So it only took 4 days once she got in the hospital there. But now I'm not going to talk about it much now, because this experience that she gave me, when she died, I'll tell you. I've told this story before, but it's the same experience. Tesla tells this experience. He says, "Oh, my mother, when she died, she gave me a look in. I had a near-death experience, basically. Saw something about reality that, well, it forever works on you. You're never the same, and then you're always, if it's the truth about it, or if it's a real live thing, and it sure was. I don't know why I'm having to get into it now, but well, she showed me something about this reality, and well, as far as why I'm getting into it now, well, there is only so much time here. I've said this a lot on the camera here, and to try and figure out something about this reality. I'm somebody who's really curious, and I've studied a lot of near-death stories about things there, and it's really curious. See, now, why I would have an experience next to her wasn't that I was next to her. We were going through it, and my brother and I were doing shifts, and he would be there with her, and then I would be there with her, and see, I was like sleeping there with her at night, and we were so close, my mom and I, and so she gave me this experience that Tesla claims. When he explains, it's the same darn thing, and then but then okay, so I'm going to wrap this up, because I don't want to talk about the experience, because it could just go on and on about, like, up to date now, like, okay, and here I am now with it. But because it's like a miracle that happened, and now, you're kind of moving forward to find out, well, how what is going on here. Um, of course, only scientists and top-notch scientists would be keeping log of this properly, and would it ever go out, and will we talk about it? Can we? Perhaps it's right in front of our face with a lot of the stories we're telling. But anyway, had that experience. It's the same as okay. So if you've ever seen Heaven is Real, there's this movie. See, it became 5 years later, and I'm tripping out on this experience. I'm having still some experiences. I don't want to get into it now, but a nun moved in next door. This was like this. So she was living there 3 years or something, and then we got to know each other. And it was time for her to move. But so I helped her move. We got to know each other and talk. So I got around to talking about this experience. And she said, "Oh, it sounds like this movie that I can barely talk about the experience. 5 years, I was just drying my eyes, just like because every time I would try to talk about it, it would bring me to tears. I never talked about what happened the first time, and it brought me to tears. But this movie, it's called Heaven is Real. I watched it, and it brought me to overwhelming tears when I saw it. She was there when I was watching it, just looking at this. It's the same darn thing that I was exposed to. I was exposed to something, and I can get into that about our reality. It's kind of fun because it will start uncovering um, perhaps mysteries about UFOs, but see that might be getting confused because we really don't know the nature of this reality and how we would really what's really going on. Basically, we just know nothing. Basically, thanks for listening.